our weekly stream, Get Resourced. It's our live stream from our Relational Wisdom School. So this is Dre.
And Summer, howdy doody.
Howdy doody. And we always love to open up these calls with what's alive in you right now.
Oh, excitement, creativity, curiosity, collaboration, all those yummy things, the warm weather. It's not too hot yet. I feel a sense of aliveness in myself. How about you? What's alive in you?
Whew. This playfulness. There's some conviction, some clarity. Yeah. Did I say joy? There's some joy.
Conviction, clarity, and joy. Ooh, conviction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Let's hop into our discussion.
Yeah.
Such a title for it.
Yeah. What's our discussion?
The psychology of the quick fix and the magic pill.
Yeah. What's this allure, right, towards the quick fix and the magic pill? You even can say like the instant gratification.
Yeah, interesting. It's everywhere, right? In the grocery stores and also in healing, in the ways that we want to get out of discomfort in our own growth.
Yeah. Well, I'll see this piece of convenience. I enjoy convenience. I enjoy going to the grocery store and things are there, right? One time, like, especially with food, man. Oh my God. For me with food, like growing up, like the kitchen was my mom's territory. Like I was brought up where I didn't have to cook. Like my mom provided that, and that carries over to my adulthood. I don't cook. Summer does, and I love her for that. I clean. I pride myself to be a great cleaner. Though cooking, I find because I don't cook, there's a lack of like care and consideration with it. Like that, I just want it over with. So I look for quick fixes with food. I look for the fastest way. So just like instant gratification, fast food. Or I remember living at home before with my parents, I would buy microwave dinners and microwave stuff, like just in and out. Even now I see that habit showing up with as you offer to make food. I always like keep it simple. As if I'm like burdening you. Right. I mean, I think I'm going on a separate tangent here, but let's go back to like this piece of like just wanting it done for convenience. Like I just want convenience, like some ease, right? Less stress, perhaps. And how does that tie to magic pills and quick fixes? It's like I don't want to stress about it. I want it easy. I don't want to do the work. And there's something inherent with that, right? Of like looking for the easy way out, the quickest route. And sometimes that serves and sometimes that doesn't. So it's having discernment, I think.
Well, I think it's a little more than that. Being fast with some things is important. Having some efficiency is important. And also so is rest. And so I think it ties into our culture of non-rest. We always need to be doing. Things have to be quick. It mimics the whole industrial age and the manufacturing, and our psychology mimics it. We often mimic the age that we're in. So in the industrial age, we're trying to get more. People have big houses and more cars and lots of things. But as Mother Teresa said, in the West, there's a poverty of love, of meaning, of God perhaps itself. Whereas in third world countries, they have more of that and a lot less of material things. So I think, as in Guy Claxton's book called Harebrained Tortoise Mind, we can get a lot of things quickly. What we can't gain with great speed is creativity and new insight. All of our great thinkers, Albert Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci and things like that, they went into a world of reverie. of a slow
Tesla, Edison.
Tesla, all of the great thinkers, and this is maybe why they push the speed and whatever, because people who think like that make great workers, they make great slaves, right? But the great
People that think
thinkers,
like fat you mean when they're moving fast? Or
I've gotta get this done, I've gotta get speed, I want, convenience over also having that time of reverie or slow pace or daydreaming or imagination. And as Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. But somehow in our culture, we haven't steeped in that. And I think that's where, the relational wisdom school comes in. When we start to apply that information to our actual relationships, to psychology, to healing, it changes a lot.
yeah, it's a process of unlearning, and that takes time. And I love
Mm,
how you spoke about the
time.
reverie piece, right?
Oh, yeah.
The reverie piece of creating a sacred space. I've been back on my journaling practice, and I've been really enjoying. I think that contributes to my clarity and my joy. Is when I wake up in the morning, I do my practices, and I've included my journaling practice of just writing whatever, and it serves me so much. And man, I've avoided it for a while too, and it's so nourishing because I have this reverie of being in touch with who I am, and then I can
Mm,
operate from that place. So it's having that balance again. I don't know. It's like balance, 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 and discerning. When to be effective, efficient, and when to take time and slow down and create the sacred space to tune in. Right. So I think discernment is so important to that. Going back to that versus like this magic pill, the convenience all over, right? Of place, which, yeah, I see it all the time. And if we see like the story, was it must see on TV or something, or you buy it on TV. Those showcase items where you got entrepreneur things of like quick gadgets to do things more quickly, some things to twist light
mhm.
bulbs in weird, awkward areas. Like a lot of great ideas, well, that people purchase entrepreneurially are ways to make life more convenient, life more easy, right? And I get it. I get it. Where if we can have systems in place like electricity, food, water in place, it actually creates reverie. It allows us to create more space to be with ourselves, right? When we have these mechanisms and structures and systems in place to allow and give us space to be attuned with ourselves.
But I wonder if people actually engage that. Because sometimes when life is too easy, what I've noticed when people make a lot of income, for some people, then they spend it on trips, holidays, sometimes drugs or numbing agents and things like that because they're still lacking the meaning in it all. And so, like you said, it's balanced. I want to share this quote from Harebrained Tortoise Mind, Guy Claxton's book, because he talks about how our brain is quick, and it goes along kind of with Joe Dispenza stuff that we only use 5% of our brain. He says, that this type of thinking, this D mode, what he calls deliberate or default mode, this logical, linear, let's be efficient and get things done. This is only 5% of the data that's derived from our five sense: taste, smell, vocals, hearing. And it's used for logical problem solving. But this deliberate thinking, this D mode, works well when the problem is facing is easily conceptualized. But when we're not sure what needs to be taken into account, or even which questions to pose, or when the issue is too subtle or too big to be captured by familiar categories of conscious thought, we need recourse to the tortoise mind, this type of intelligence that's associated with creativity or what we might call wisdom. And so I think this is where we're headed. The culture is speeding up. There's a lot of crisis. People are in panic and fear. How do you solve something so big? And I think it comes down to something much more simpler than we could ever imagine, which I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah, it is. This is rich territory. So many angles I can approach this with. Yeah, great question, right? I mean, if I've created freedom for myself, am I enjoying that freedom, or am I just
Mhm.
adding more stuff on top of it? And there's lots of layers there, right? Like I could be addicted to progress. I could be attaching my worth to my success and this ever never ending GDP growth, right? Of like, hmm. And there's a piece of like this magic pill, quick fix, and let's look at the world of self help because I want to orient it to the work that we do, right? If we were to bring it back to looking at myself, um, there's resistance of wanting to work on myself, right? There's some type of fear, some anxiety, this sense of avoidance that I can use vacations or distractions or substances to avoid it. That if I have this, then I'll be happy. And maybe that's been marketed, sold to me that if I have this particular thing, then everything's going to be all good. And then when I reach there, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not true. And so I got to go along in this life of mine until something happens like that shatters my reality, right? That puts my ego up front for a confrontation, for it to be, in a way, I guess, going through like a rebirth cycle, like a death, a crisis, a catalyst, a threshold. Then I'm waking up from the slumber. And then maybe I'll take that more seriously. Yeah. But then I think, yeah, the culture is kind of like quick fixes because of the convenience. And that's why I apply that to my own work, right? Of, hey, I'll go to this retreat, I'll take this one course, or I'll complete one session and I'm good. And this is the idea of like completion of checking things off, like a task.
Mhm.
And and
Mhm.
and do you think,
The bucket
you know,
list.
yeah, do you think working on myself is a check mark? Like, once I've done this, I'm done. While the human experience has so many layers to it and it's ever flowing and moving and interconnected with everything, then nothing
Mhm.
really stands still, right? Like like change, the only thing constant is change. And so if I'm static, what happens? I become extinct, right? I become disassociated, disconnected from the world. The world's changing, it's moving along with or without me, right? So how am I adapting? And I think we're doing it all the time, unconsciously or consciously. Yeah. But there's a lot there. There's so much vast and rich territory that I do want to ground it to, like, the work. What do you see
Well well,
in regards
I
to
just
your work?
love how you explained all of that, um, this one-off workshop or this thing, but, "Oh, I'm good," and then the world keeps moving. The trees are just doing their thing, and they go through spring and fall and winter, and they're always moving, and, um we're always thinking of the future as human beings. What am I gonna do for the future? I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna have money, I'm gonna do that. So we're thinking ahead. Or we're thinking of the past and the horrible things that happened, or we're not ever just in the moment with life itself. Not ever. It's kind of an exaggeration. But we've been taken out of living life itself, about what's actually happening, what's alive in me. Our connection, of course, to the earth, to others, to all of these different things. But what's about the richness of, "Oh, I can feel my body, I can feel my breath, I can feel the words and the imagination and the pictures that come through my experience in this moment." And why is that important? It's because, well, I'm gonna go back to English. We have a very specific culture with a very specific language for one reason. Back to the industrial age and civilization, English is made for corporations, for making lists of things, for all of those things. And so this is where our relationships become very commoditized, become very transactional and not relational. We're relational beings. We're not built here to buy more stuff. We're here to relate And it's why it's so meaningless when we're just accumulating stuff or sitting at home. I walk down the street here and it's like, oh, how many people are watching TV in the evenings? Where in tribes we used to like drum and eat together and, we related, we shared nervous systems, we knew the heartbeat of the culture through other people. And this is where our building of community, not this one off workshop and stuff, but the real community where we're alive with the struggles, with the pain, with the illness, with also the joy, the cycles of life, of birth, of death, of celebrations and initiations. It's so lacking. It's so lacking nutrition on such a deep level. Um, and
Mhm.
so it reminds me of that article you brought up by John Wolfstone, Healing from Healing. Maybe we don't need to heal. Culture's the best medicine.
Mm.
It's a vast umbrella of something that
Mm.
contains us as human beings connected back to life itself.
Yeah, it's so nourishing, when you say that. Like, I'm a relational being, and I'm always connected to everything else, all around me. I'm connected and influences me, and I influence it. It's this idea of like being static, and like static water breeds disease rather than flow, right? Or reanimating a corpse like a zombie, like just
Mm,
lack of sustenance, but just barely alive versus, something that's growing in the garden, flourishing, and it goes to a cycle of death and rebirth, right? The piece of like watching TV, right? Like this disconnection, this pseudo connection of like feels like I'm connected, but not. It's not satiating. Versus imagine there's theater, like in person theater, like
mm, mm,
people entertaining each other, watching a show, watch going to a concert, people performing. That's fun. That's relating, right? Someone, sharing their gifts and talents and their passions, even with, let's say, purchasing things, right? Like, why am I? Versus like maybe the old ways of like there's trading, there's survival, right? We're trading, but can we come to a place of like appreciating craftsmanship, appreciating the story behind this particular item that someone with their hands, with their knowledge and wisdom passed on from their ancestors created this particular item, right? And so we can trade our talents, right? Imagine a world where we do have gifts, we do want to build, we do want to create, but there's some reverence and there's some depth to exchange of goods versus
mhm.
buying it to, what's my intention, right? What is that? And what's my connection to that thing that I'm buying? Is there a story behind it? Is it connected to someone that I know? Versus this big corporation, corpse, being dead entity, non-human, manufactured, mass production, right? And like the sacredness and the reverence of bringing that more back into the space.
Right. Nate's here. Hey, culture
Hello,
is
Nate.
the medicine. It is. Um, yeah, going back to our corpse culture, everything being dead. um, the things we buy. I know, if anything, I might have an addiction to buying new things, and I know why I do. A lot of it's about beauty for me and infusing my environment with beauty and color. Um, and what you say about, yeah, we used to pass things on through story, that these things actually had meaning. They weren't just things, they were part
Mm,
of a story and a history. And now, people change houses every 5 years, and everything's being changed quite quickly. And I think there's a lot of benefits to that. Some of our culture and our traditions are a little bit outdated. But again, it goes to that quick fix. Maybe if I move, I'll feel better. Maybe if I do this, I'll be better. And we're all still very isolated in our independence. Um, and so I'm curious what your thoughts are. How do we bring culture back, community back, instead of it being these isolated therapeutic things where we think something's wrong with me specifically, and we do 2 or 3 sessions because that's what the government told us to do, and we're buying a transaction. What if we're healed in relationship, in
Hmm.
community, in culture? And
Yeah, I mean, the culture.
actually, I just wanna say one last thing because I actually think we don't need healing. We just need to be realigned to who we really are as a species. Sorry. Go ahead. Hi,
Yeah,
Nate.
yeah, no apologies. Hmm. Yeah, this is so juicy. Yeah, I always say there's like thousands of entry points to this question, and all of them are right. Like all of them are correct. There's no wrong thing. It's all perspective, right? And what's coming alive for me through this is like coming together with people that want to do some work on themselves to remember being human again, because that's what gives me life. For some other people, they might have different passions, hobbies. For me, it's like, how do I learn to be more me and live that way? Like to bring more zest and life force into what I do and how I show up with more compassion and ease and peace because I'm not at war with myself. How can I confront those parts of myself with more peace and reverie? And I do that with other people. And when I can do that with other people, I think what gets created from that is like this space of safety where, you know, I'm reflected back parts of myself that I cannot see. And I get to learn and grow myself in relation to another, right? Like there's blind spots for a reason. I am a relational being. I was born in relationship, and I was molded through relationship. I was also hurt and wounded in relationship. And so I heal in relationship. And so what comes out of this is like, I don't have any words for it other than we're being human together and we're collaborating together and we're meeting each other's needs.
Mm,
Like Marshall says, what makes you alive, right? What brings aliveness in you, which is our needs, and how can we tap into that and have more of a needs consciousness of supporting, what's being called in this moment for me. Like you have a need for beauty, I have a need for, let's say, order, right? And how do we play with that? And then also something gets created from that, right? Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's so
well, that's
organic,
huge, right?
right?
It's organic. Yeah.
Versus having a premeditated idea, or like this is the plan, I'm going to force it to look like this. Perhaps maybe it's like that a culture can be based on principles and values of thriving life that gives to life, like even the rule of do no harm. And basic as that. What is our code of conduct that we can live by? And I love this idea of the samurai and the knighthood of like, how do I um, make art of my warriorship, right? How do I activate my warrior alongside my lover, right? Of like, if I were to create something or if I were to protect something, there's also reverence for life in that. There's care for what I leave behind, kind of like leaving people in environments better than I got there. There's an honor code with the samurai where, when we fight, it's like one on one. And if someone doesn't have a sword, it's like, okay, you know, we'll meet next time and we'll deal with this grievance when things are more fair, right? So, how to live by code is what I like to learn more, like bringing more sacredness to the way I am, to my being. Yeah, that's what I
Hmm.
yearn for.
Right. More sacredness, more soul in relationship rather than all that transaction, more trust.
Hmm. Yeah, trust is a key foundation. I think underneath it all, like, is this like knowing that, like, I matter to you and you matter to me. It's like a shared consideration of the space that we're in, how we treat each other. our items, um, how we make love, how we talk to each other becomes like an art form, an expression of love. And I'm judging myself because this kind of sounds esoteric and pretty high level, grounded in practicality, right? There's just a deep sense of care. And what is this in service to?
Mm.
Why am I doing this? Like, how does it proliferate life? How does it move energy? How does it allow expression to move? Yeah.
I think you're talking about creation. So
Mm.
it's like your creation story. And what is creation if not creating something new? So you were, talking about all these prescriptions. Prescript means written before, all of these protocols, even paintings, paint by numbers, or um, a lot of things we do are given a checklist and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But life itself needs to be free to bloom and blossom and change as it moves into itself. And, the new copy of my book, the new edition of my book, my last painting is going to be on the cover. It's of a butterfly. And Bill Plotkin in his book Soulcraft talks about that. That the imago, that the image of the thing that we want to create is inside of us. It's already there. We're a very imaginative species. And the imago of the butterfly is this blueprint that as the caterpillar goes into this cocoon, it knows how to become the butterfly. Yet the immune system of the caterpillar literally has to break down and kind of resists this whole process of it going into mush before it transforms into the butterfly. And so he talks about how our ego, and as you said, I think you said something about growing up. There's a book called Growing Up Again that talks about how we reparent ourselves through this idea that we have a natural way of evolving, or in other words, growing up from our ego, from these ideas of what we think should be, to why don't we trust what's already inside of us rather than forcing something? Maybe there's something greater inside of us than we ever thought possible as a species, as a person, as an individual. And like that imago, that image that's embedded in the caterpillar as we're crawling on the ground, as we let go and move into it, we naturally become the butterfly. There's not a lot to do. It's more about being. And I think this is where we're starting to learn what that actually means so we can co-create, create together, make a new world. And that's what we're moving into is the trust in the process of life itself. That's what I'm hearing.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Well said. It makes sense to my mind of like what beingness is and getting out of the way, though what's not clicking, and I'm just speaking from my experience, is the layers and layers that prevent me to do so because I lack trust, because I'm fearful of the old programming of doing and survival and yada yada yada. And so it's
Yeah.
more of like this trust of like, is there a better way of living? And does that sound juicy to me? Would I want to step into a place where I'm able to live in fullest authentic expression? Something I want. If it is, then I start the journey of unlayering myself, because it is the process of unlearning and reprogramming so that the mind eventually becomes on board and becomes an emissary, not a master, in service to my spirit and my soul, right? And then there's more trust, like this idea of power versus powerlessness, right? I think a lot of us like to be in control. I like to be in control. I like to have certainty. Puts me at ease, knowing what the next step is. Right? And it comes from this fear of like
Mm.
not knowing. and not trusting, things that unfold on its own. I got to be prepared, and I got to have structure, and that's all good. But what if it comes to a life where I hit a crossroads in my life where no matter what I can do, I can't change the outcome, right? I can only control myself and what I do. Like if I get separation papers, right, and my marriage is dissolving, and I'm trying to save it, well, I'm powerless to it. Right? I'm powerless to these events where eventually I have a relationship with power where I realize I'm not the only one involved here. That the only way out is the way into that, to meet this feeling of powerlessness. And when I stand in this feeling of powerlessness, I gain power from it. How? Well, I let go. I'm like holding on so tightly. And when I let go, I relax, I breathe. All of a sudden, an opportunity shows up, an insight appears, a door opens, right? And this sense of like being in tuned with greater powers that are all around me, right? Do I am I really in control here?
Nope. It does remind me of David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. There is a difference. And true power is not generated through force. As I always call it, the fight force or fixed paradigm. And so and that's what we're moving into, what true authentic power is, and people can feel it. And as people let go of, we started at the very beginning, this fear. We have a lot of fears, and as we learn to trust, as we step into the process of creation or co-creation, which means stepping into the unknown and something new, and we trust that, oh wow, I feel alive each time I do that, we're then not this stagnant water anymore that starts to be static and stank and needs to numb ourselves from that feeling of meaningless. We step into the river, and really the only way we can truly feel that, because you said, well, what prevents us, I think, is fear itself. Um, but as soon as we start doing things differently, and just because we haven't known something to be true doesn't mean it's not possible. Stepping into community, into people in a new and maybe ancient way of wisdom that allows our nervous systems to convene and evolve without this idea of competition and comparison, um, just makes life a whole hell of a lot more meaningful and beautiful. Um, yeah, I know I'm
Mm,
not gonna have any regrets on my deathbed, and I'm not even close to being dead because 'cause I've already lived a full life, and it gets fuller and fuller every single day. Um, and I've known a few people in their passing, you know, really wonder, you know, well, what was my life for? A lot of socialization and different things, but the end of the day, there's not a lot of people there. And might have had a long career finding oil and gas or different things, and it all can be meaningful. It just depends on what's meaningful to you. And do you go after what that is for you? Do you step into the integrity of yourself, um, that does bring life force, that does bring that true power into your being? I think we all crave that. We all crave it and we all have it. That's the thing. All we, like you said, it's unlearning and remembering who we are.
yeah, I believe that's the cure for depression. And the
Oh,
path to fulfillment and meaning is when I have that source of agency and inner power to create my life and to be in touch with life. Yeah. And that's the path of ongoingness, right? The path of self-help, inner work, personal development, going to therapy, right? Doing this work, it's the path of self-awareness. And with self-awareness, I notice it creates more openness and more flexibility rather than more rigidness
mm,
and stubbornness and staticness. Allows me to be more adaptable, resilient, um, malleable as well, right? And that leads to growth, just like traveling to a different country and seeing how they operate. Like there's so much richness in the way human beings are differently that it actually automatically for me creates more compassion, more humility. The more I know, the more I don't know.
mhm.
And with it comes more reverence, right, for life, versus being entitled or having a one fixed mind of the way it should be if it doesn't go that way. Yeah. And so that's the path that, Summer and I, we invite you into is this path of knowing who you are and living it and unpacking that layer by layer. And I know on my journey, it's like layers of an onion that keeps going and going and going. And it's so rich, it's so nourishing. Yeah. So life giving. That, like, we were just talking the other day of like, what do you want to do? Well, we love our work. Like, it gives so much, it meets so many needs, right? Like, when we want to do something, we want to do it. Like, not just to do it to um, this idea of work hard to play hard, to just cuz or just to let loose and release. There's other ways that we can take care of ourselves to recharge those batteries that are more, I don't know, for me, meaningful, yeah, impactful. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm curious because I have a little kind of nag here. How is my connection? Because I'm noticing on my side, I'm kind of like choppy. Or am I choppy?
Not
Anyone
on mine.
watching, just let me know. Okay, because I'm kind of like laggy a bit. If you're watching online, let me know too. I'd love to get your feedback on the quality of this stream today. Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah.
what's up? I mean, it's summer holidays, so people are outside having a good time. We really, have stepped back a little bit from the Facebook group and being online because there's so much more to engage in life outside right now, which is very exciting. So,
Mm.
um,
Which calls
I
for me
mean,
too. Like we love to hear what's going on in your day. Like sharing.
mhm.
Activities or events or things that you're doing that bring you joy in your day. That inspires me to do that too. Like, yeah, what's up in Dre's day and sharing that. Yeah. Because you're right. Yeah. It's beautiful out. Let's be out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I wanna go right now.
Mm,
I say, "Let's end stream just a little bit early today
mm,
so we can go and play outside."
yeah. And
Grass
so
with all the
whoever's
mosquitoes.
watching, love to hear what are you up to today, this summer? What event or things that you did or participated in that brought you joy? Or do you see something that you're anticipating joy from as well? I'd love to hear that. Yeah. I mean, Summer and I, we came back from Vibes Town, right? Which is a music and arts festival. And what would you say like you enjoyed about that? What brought you joy from that experience?
Um, Being outside, actually, um, and, with people that I enjoy. Dancing is one of my favorite things. Um, and there were some, workshops or thoughtful things that I heard from people that I know that I really enjoyed listening to. So those are the things that I really love. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's it. So, yeah, I really do wanna go outside. Nate
Okay.
says, "Hey, man, go outside, enjoy the warm weather." Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can hold it here.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for everyone tuning in. Thank you, Nate, for chiming in. Appreciate that. Always love to see comments. There's interaction, right? There's a sense of connection and relating that nourishes me. And so when I get to see you share, it's like, cool. Someone I can also connect with outside of summer as well, and feeds into what I get to share as well. So I appreciate the nudge there, Nate. I believe your nudge has really left an impact on summer to want to go and enjoy the weather right now, and we can go do that. And I'm also inspired to share happenings of the summer in our Facebook group, right? We invite you to, and I'm going to invite myself to do that. And if you're not part of our Facebook group, check it out. It's called Facebook group. Well, of course, it's a Facebook group. Um, Relational Wisdom Community for Conscious Co-Creating Relationships. So you can check us out at Relational Wisdom. And we're also on YouTube as well under Relational Wisdom School. Anything else to say before we sign off?
No, just that, yeah, love seeing you pop up, Nate, all the time, enjoying our talks. Kari West. Oh, Caribbean. When is that? Soon downtown, for sure. I
Cool.
love the color in that. That's another thing in our culture that we're lacking is fucking ooh, excuse me, color. That's what I loved when I lived in India, the saris and the silks and the color. And our houses are all so non-colored. So yeah, music, food, dance, noise. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When is it? Put it in the group or right here for sure. Yeah, I'd love to go check that out. Thank you. I probably wouldn't have figured that out until you put it there.
Mm,
August 8. Okay, cool.
cool.
Carry Fest.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's one thing I want to say before we sign off is the invitation to bring some more aliveness and joy, some intentionality and presence with whatever you're doing, right? Whether that be washing the dishes or going out and looking and making eye contact with people. That's what I've been doing is just saying hi to people. So bringing some attention, presence, intentionality to our interactions with ourselves and others. Let's do it.
Okay. So, Carry Fest, August 6th to 8th, parade Saturday at 11, cool down Sunday evening. I hope it is cool in the evening. Nate, maybe we'll see you there. DM me and let me know what time you're going. Let's go. Have more
Okay.
fun.
So till next time, be well.
Bye, everybody.